Hi water signs, Trishna here. So in this video we're going to start off with an intuitive reading for all water signs collectively. Then I'm going to do an intuitive reading for each of the individual water signs, so Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And then I'm going to pull some tarot cards for each of the individual signs as well for the tarot portion of this reading. So what I'm feeling for you water signs on the collective scale is I feel like you're actually doing really well with this isolation and quarantine. Compared to all the other elements, you are doing really well. Like, you are very in tune with your emotions, you're very in tune with yourself, very much in alignment. And so while all of the other signs are kind of running from themselves, they're running from having to deal with their fears, their insecurities, their inner conflicts, and they're trying to distract themselves in their different ways, whether it's trying to act and like do as much as you can do so you don't have to face yourself, or whether it's trying to study and learn and think as much as you can learn so that you don't have to face yourself. They're trying to find all these different ways to distract themselves, to run away from having to deal with their own inner self. You, water sign, you're not doing that at all. You're very comfortable with yourself. You have nothing to fear about yourself. The last person that you're running from is yourself. You're very content and happy living with yourself. And so in this isolation period, I feel like you're faring much better than the other signs are. Of course, I know you, water sign, really would like to be out there interacting with other people and having a good time and like living life. So the social interaction is missing very much from your life. Like virtual hangouts and things like that don't cut it for you. So I know you're struggling in that sense, but with regards to everything else and dealing with yourself, you have no struggle. Like, this is a piece of cake. You're actually really enjoying it. You like having this time to yourself in many ways. I also feel like maybe you could be a little bit more productive than you are. I do feel like you're being pretty productive and you're getting work done and things like that. I do feel like you could be doing more, but also at the same time, who's actually really doing all that they can do? So you're actually at a pretty good level in that sense. So, really, water signs, you're doing a wonderful job. So, I'm happy to hear that. So, going into the individual signs energy, Cancer, what I feel for you is I feel like you were dealing with some inner frustrations. And again, like, you're not running from this. If you haven't already realized that you have these frustrations, you're so connected with yourself that you are going to realize that and you're not going to run away from it. You're going to want to address it. But I'm feeling like you have some frustrations, and I don't feel like it has to do with your love life. I feel like your frustrations are more likely around your career. I feel like there are things that you're trying to accomplish or things that you wanted to accomplish that didn't really work out the way that you wanted them to. So I feel like if you're working on a business or if you're working on something for your career, for your work, there might be these little things that you're trying to get perfect or you're trying to get right, and for whatever reason it's just not working. So like, if you're trying to do something on the computer, it's like the system is off and it's not working, and it's not letting you upload something, or it's not letting you download something, or it's not letting you fix something or change something. So I feel like you were dealing with some of those frustrations. These frustrations that you're having, I feel, are going to be around, stick around for a couple of weeks at least. So just know that, just hang in there, just know that this is just something that's happening, and just try your best to not get too frustrated with it because it's just something that is happening. And I feel like this relates very much to the overall collective consciousness, not just of the water signs, but of the mass consciousness of the entire world right now. We're dealing with a lot collectively, the same problem. We're all facing that, and there are a lot of nuances and details that need to be figured out that haven't been figured out. And so of course what's happening on the massive level is going to affect, it's going to affect us on the personal level, and it's affecting us with like, hey, there are all these little things that just aren't working the way that we want them to in terms of maybe a cure or a treatment or something like that. And so that's kind of manifesting in your personal situation as well. It's like, I just need to fix this one little thing. Like, is it really that hard? Why isn't this working? What's in my way? So it's just kind of, it's just, the universe is very fractal. So what happens on the bigger layers is happening on the individual layers, and what happens on the individual layers happens on the bigger layers as well. That's all that's going on there. Scorpio, I feel like you are using this time very wisely. I feel like you have decided to take this time of isolation and period to yourself to really, really dive deep into the darkness, dive deep into the shadows, dive deep into the emotions and the insecurities and the possible insecurities that could be on the path that aren't even in your life yet, but that you want to work on and heal before they even become insecurities. So, Scorpio, I feel like you are really using this time to really get into get to your core and really like work on it and work on your energy and truly get into alignment. So you're doing a lot of really good important work. I feel like maybe somebody out there is a little worried that maybe they're going to take it too far because you're really spending a lot of time on this. Like that's your priority during this isolation period of time, is to work on yourself and your insecurities and to come out of that and transform out of that. And so some of you may be feeling like, can I overdo it? Am I overdoing it? And I always feel like with emotional work that we do and energetic work that we do, you can't really ever overdo it. You can end up bringing yourself to a lower point, but because you know how to transform it, like you're only going to bring yourself back out of it and it's only going to reap the rewards. So the risk that you're taking here, with greater risk comes greater reward. And so you're putting a lot of your effort into this kind of work and it's going to reap the reward. So don't worry about going overboard on this and possibly messing yourself up, because I don't think that's going to happen. For Pisces, what I'm feeling for you is I feel like right now you're kind of at your most creative. And so when it comes to work, I feel like you're coming up with all of these different ideas, all these creative solutions on how you can do your job better, how you can be more efficient, how you can maybe work on art projects. Like your creativity is to the maximum in whatever area your career is in. So like you may not think of your career as being a creative career, but every career has creative elements to it once you start reaching a level of mastery. And so I think you're starting to notice that even in your work, even if it's not a creative type of role, that you're finding creative solutions on how to master it. You're finding creative solutions on how to make it easier or better or more efficient or something like that. So yeah, Pisces, that's really awesome. All right, Cancer. So the cards that we got for you are the Three of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. So with the Three of Pentacles, I feel like this represents what the frustration is for some of you. So for some of you, it may be that things are actually going really well at your job and at your career, but things are going at a slower pace, obviously because of what's going on in our realm. So for some of you, the frustration may just be that, like, yeah, things are going well, but they're not going well as quickly as you would like. And that's just something that you kind of need to be okay with. And I guess that's why this is going to last a couple weeks, these frustrations, is because it just is what it is. And just know that, like, and this may be, this may be related to what we talked about in the overall water element intuitive portion, where like you're working but you're not really getting as much done as maybe you could, and maybe you're actually putting in all the effort but everything's moving at a slower pace, so you're not able to get done everything that you want to get done, and that's leading to a lot of frustration. But just know that that's just happening for everybody. That's just how it is, and try to make the most of the situation. Try to do whatever you can to achieve whatever you want to achieve, but know this is going to last a few weeks, and try to enjoy the time. Try to enjoy the slow period. Try to enjoy the time that you have right now. The King of Pentacles, I feel, so you got Pentacles for both of your cards, which again I think really represents that this is related to your career. Like I was saying in the intuitive portion, that's where your frustrations are. And so with the King of Pentacles, I feel like this is saying that you are very focused on your career, and that's a good thing, Cancer. And this is definitely the time to be focused on that and to master as much as you can master, but just make sure that you don't let your career and your pentacles get the best of you and bring out your dark side. And what I mean by that is enjoy the time that you have to master what you can master, but don't let the frustrations of the slow period or the frustrations of the technology or whatever the frustrations are for you, don't let them get the best of you and make you upset and make you frustrated and make you focus more on what's not going right than all this time that you have to master your skills. So don't let what's not going right take away the opportunity that this isolation period and slow down period brings you, which is more time to master your skills and master your career, which you have already attained a lot of mastery in your career. So, keep up that momentum. If you don't know what to do about that mastery, if you feel like you already know everything that you need to know at this point in time, you don't really know where to take your career from here, then go learn something different, because there's always interrelationships that can be formed. You can get ideas from a different area. So find another interest. If you don't know how to up level in your current area of mastery, find another interest and just get interested in that and see where that takes you. For the Scorpios, we got the Nine of Cups and we got the Fool card. So I feel like this Nine of Cups really represents that you are going to reach emotional fulfillment. You're going down right now deep into the depths of your soul and your core, and you are working on your emotional issues, and you're happy about it, you're excited about it, you're doing this because you want to. It's because you really enjoy transformation, Scorpio, and that's And now you're just like, wow, I have all this time. Let's clean everything out in my energetic system. Let's transform. Let's like make the most of this. Let's get all of my insecurities and my energetic gunk and my blocks out. So all of this is going to give you that emotional fulfillment and joy and happy and transformation that you're looking for. And that's going to lead to you being that Fool card, where you are going to, all of this work that you're doing on yourself. I was talking to the Cancers about how everything in the intuitive portion, how like everything is fractal. So what's happening in the big scale affects, like, there are mirrors to what's happening in our individual lives, and the issues or good things that are happening in our individual lives get mirrored back into the overall mass consciousness and what's going well and what's not going well in the mass consciousness level as well. So whenever you do all this inner work inside, it's going to permeate outside, and it's going to create some really nice manifestations for you, Scorpio. This Fool card, I feel, represents that you are going to have those new beginnings. The Fool card represents new beginnings, and I feel like that's what's going to be in store for you over the next 2 to 3 months. There's going to be some new things that are going to come into your life, some new opportunities that you're going to be really, really happy about. And these are opportunities that maybe you haven't thought about in a long time, maybe even years, and you kind of haven't focused on them, and here they are. They're going to manifest into your life because you're doing all this inner transformational type of work. So good on you, Scorpio. That work is going to pay off, and that's not why you're doing it. You're not doing this work so that you can manifest things, which is good. You're doing it because you want to feel good, and when you do that, manifestations come so fast. So you're in the right headspace. Just work on yourself, and everything else is going to flow. For the Pisces, we got the Magician card, and then we got the Hierophant. So with the Magician card, I feel like this represents, again, the creativity that you are experiencing right now, Pisces. In order to be able to be creative in your field, you have to have attained some level of mastery in that field. Whenever you're in a field, the first step, like when you're first starting out, you're not a master. You're a beginner. You're there with open eyes. You don't know what's right and what's wrong. You're just there to completely absorb information, and it becomes less creative at that point in time because you're just having to learn step by step how somebody else is teaching you. Then you attain this level of experimentation where you're like, okay, I know the basic rules. I kind of know what I have a feel for. I kind of know how everything's starting to fit together. Let me try this. Let me try that. And through that experimentation, over time, you eventually reach a level of mastery where, yeah, you understand the basic rules, but you also know which ones you can bend. You also know where you can add something new. That is where the creativity portion comes in to the journey of whatever it is that you're working on, no matter how uncreative it may seem. There comes a point of time when there's mastery, and that's when you know what you're doing. You know what elements you can or can't play with because you've already learned the fundamentals in the first stage, and then you've also learned through experimentation the boundaries that can or can't be pushed. So I feel like this card, Pisces, represents where you're at right now. You're in that creative stage where you are finding ways to be more efficient, to be more productive, to get more out of your efforts, to add more value to other people. So that's awesome. With the Hierophant, I feel like this basically is saying that all of this creativity is coming through the silence. And that's maybe where you find a lot of your creativity. And Pisces, normally we don't have a lot of silence. Life is going 100 miles a minute, and we're running around here and there. We have so much to do, and everybody has things that they need from us, and then we're on their timelines, and sometimes we can become quite a mess. But with this isolation and downtime, we have more space from other people, we have more space from their energy, and we have a little bit more time to ourselves. And in that silence, which you're very comfortable with, like we talked about for the water signs collectively, in that silence, in that quiet, in that moment when you're not thinking anymore because you don't have to run 100 miles a minute, that's where the inspiration comes from. That's where the creativity comes from. That's where you really feel connected to your creative essence and to your soul. And so all of that is really working out in your favor, Pisces. So I'm really glad that you're able to pull in like all of the creative ideas from the ethers and, you know, make the most of that. And so when work and life starts back up again, like, you will have attained even more mastery because you'll have pushed more boundaries and experimented more and seen like what works and what doesn't work, and you'll be able to hit the ground running. So, water signs, that is what I'm feeling for you for the April 2020 readings. As I said in the announcement video that I posted before, I am still doing Patreon readings for those of you who are my patrons. and they will be done in the traditional way, so don't you worry about that. So if you are one of my patrons, I will see you in the extended. If not, thank you so much for watching. I hope I earned your like and your subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.